Hello and good evening and welcome to our Year 12 showcase. My name's Jessica Stevenson. I am a principal of UTC Olympic Legacy Park, and I will be talking to you today about our Year 12 and post-16 offer, and hopefully giving you a bit more of a flavour of what is like to study at the UTC. I'm really sorry I can't be doing this live and in person, but obviously with current circumstances that's not possible. But I'm hoping you'll get at least an understanding of what makes us unique and why I think it's fantastic to come and study here. So there's a couple of housekeeping points if we go to the next slide. Microphones and cameras are disabled, and that's to enable the event to flow. However, there is the opportunity for you to ask questions, and my advice is that you do that throughout the event as you think of them. There's a Q&A session at the end. You'll see that there's a little dialog box at the bottom of your screen which you can use to type in questions. They'll either be answered by one of my staff who are joining me tonight via that box where people can see the answers, or they'll be held to the end of the session when we have a Q&A with students and staff and our employer partners who'll be able to answer those questions, because they might be something that more people are interested in. If our aim is to finish around 6:30 and to make sure that the Q&As happen at then. If we do get more questions and we overrun a little bit, we can answer any questions later. And if you have any additional questions that you don't feel can be answered or that actually you want to talk to somebody about, please email admin@OLP and somebody will be in touch, and either myself or one of my staff will be able to talk you through the specifics of your question. So we do welcome people to get in contact, and we have got staff here at the moment, even though we're in lockdown, who'll be able to answer your questions about our post-16 offer. Anyway, on to what's happening today. There's a welcome and introduction from myself, which we'll move into in a minute. A little bit more about what a UTC is and how we're different from a school or a college. Specifics about here, about our post-16 curriculum, and then you'll get the most important thing. You'll get to hear from my fantastic students about the offer that's here, from one of our employers who's going to start working with us and part of the governing body, and employers are fundamental to a UTC, and I'll talk about that a bit later. But also to talk about students from the past, from alumni. You'll get to hear from them about what it means to study here, and that's, they're the foundations of a school. And then there's the opportunity, as I said, for a Q&A at the end. Anyway, if you like, next slide, please. So a bit of an introduction from me. As I said, my name's Jessica Stevenson. I'm principal at UTC, Olympic Legacy Park. I have been here since January 2020 when I took over a successful school with a good Ofsted. It has been an interesting first year in my headship, but I have to say that students and staff have made me really proud and never ever made me regret my choice of coming here, and that despite all the turbulence and despite all the disruption to all of our lives, that I'm really proud to do my job, and that the UTC is going from strength to strength. There's nothing more exciting than fostering a passion for a subject area in young people, and UTCs are directly positioned to develop experts in STEM that will shape the future. Can I have the next slide, please? At post-16, I get to see students' independence develop and their interest and motivation and understanding of the careers market really sharpen. So we are a 13 to 19 school, so students can join us at 2 points. They can join us at year 9 or at year post-16. And through that journey, we're really about matching employers and job roles with the strengths and interests of the young people who come in, and that focus underpins all of our curriculum. Can I have the next slide? Okay, so why do UTCs exist? They exist because they're employer-led, because felt that there's a gap between the education market and what employers want, and UTCs were set up to fill that gap. They specialise in the skills for the future. There's a digital revolution that we are part of and that is still happening, and change is needed in order to embrace that digital revolution. And we are set up for the local community. We are set up for Sheffield and South Yorkshire based on the needs within Sheffield and South Yorkshire around recruitment and around skills. And that and that is at the heart of our curriculum development. UTCs are more than just a school, as well as providing a strong grounding in the core subjects of English, maths and science. Each UTC has one or more technical specialism that links to the local industry partners, and we have 3 at OLP that you'll hear a little bit more about later. OLP offers the support of a sixth form and that you would get in a school, but with elements that are like a college. So we offer a technical curriculum that you often only find within a college, within a small supportive environment. Our key tenet really within post-16 is about professionalism. I consider when I think about how we manage our sixth form, I very much think about how do I manage staff and how do we echo those fundamental groundings in employer skills, but also in that level of professionalism you'd expect in any dialogue that happens. The curriculum provides a blend of academic and technical learning with a balance at each key stage. Programs of study demonstrate high academic and technical ambition for all of our pupils, building on vital employability skills, personal values and professional behaviours required by UTC leavers for rapid progression into UTC's target technical sectors. UTCs invest in young people's enthusiasm and aptitude for maths and for science, maths and technology, and in doing so accelerate their progression to a career in a technical field. In turn, progression will feed the talent pipelines into UTC's target technical sectors. We are very much about that idea of a pipeline into industry. That doesn't mean we close any doors, and that doesn't mean that students can't change their focus about what they want to do at a UTC. I'd love to be able to show you around our building and show you more about what we offer and our 3 specialisms, which are sport, health and computer science. But the best I can do online is actually to show you a video. So I believe Liz, who's controlling my PowerPoint for me, is going to come off the main PowerPoint at the moment and then go and show you a video that's been made that I hope gives you a flavour of what it means to study at the UTC and a little bit more information about our specialisms. UTCs are set up as a kind of pipeline into industry. So in lots of ways, they're a kind of school or college, but we are separate from that in terms of our specialism.
I chose to come to UTC because I knew that I'd be safe here and it'd be a great school, and I knew the opportunities that were going to be given to me.
At the first couple of days it was a bit nerve-wracking coming in. It's a lot smaller school than compared to other schools, so that really helped.
For Year 9 students, when they come, they can specialise in sport, health or computing. As part of the core curriculum, all students will do English, maths, science. It can be triple or double. And they'll get their core PE lessons, and then they'll also do GCSE citizenship. If they opt to do sport, health or computing, they'll receive from Year 9 to Year 11 2 qualifications. One a more traditional qualification, but then one that's more employer-led and industry-led, so it's a qualification that they wouldn't get at other schools.
There's also a real sense of, I think, a sense of purpose here. Students are here because they are motivated and passionate about their particular specialisms, and it's a real pleasure to be around students with that kind of passion.
UTC is more employer-based study skills, so what we do is we still do the traditional qualifications in terms of the GCSE and A-level, which is qualifications from exam boards, but on top of that we offer additional qualifications which are vendors such as Microsoft, Cisco and Palo Alto.
You get a lot more practical opportunities here and the things that you wouldn't normally see. For example, working in the VR lab, that's something that most schools don't have, and the robotics especially. It's just something that most schools can't afford or don't actually have the time to sort of employ and work in.
I decided to come here early because I just loved the facilities that were provided here. There's the robotics and just the teachers as well.
I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to choose to do sport at UTC. The way the curriculum's teed up, it's going to cover every topic that you could potentially want to move into as a future destination or career.
The UTC opened my eyes to so many different opportunities within sport and really kind of focused my career.
It has helped me a lot because before I Obviously there's no really help in like sports and stuff like that, but coming here they take your career, what you want to do to the next level so you can finally achieve that.
So the employer links are embedded into the curriculum, so we're looking at enhancing their pupil experience, whether it's the employer helping with delivering the course content or whether it's in a project that's set up for the pupil to expand their understanding of what they're being taught. That's what it's there for.
Having the opportunity for students to be guided and mentored as a result of having those links, I think is really helpful in supporting students in that transition through the education system that we have, but certainly beyond that into further learning and further education as well.
I think the health offer provides young people with experiences and wider knowledge and vocabulary that supports them in interview when looking for apprenticeship and university.
In normal secondary schools, we don't have as much contact with people like mental health nurses, the people working in NHS, and we actually get a chance to ask them questions that will be relevant to the students, and they can ask them questions, which really helps with their chosen career paths which they want to go on to do.
I chose to come to the UTC because what I'm wanting to do in the future is go into oncology, which is obviously to do with like the medical side. And at the school I was at, I didn't think there was many opportunities for me to go into that.
For health, it's because of getting to work with employers and getting the chances to work with industry level equipment.
I really enjoy the help of sport teachers. They're really helpful and they come across to me as nice people.
I enjoy that the industry level equipment is up to a good standard and that the school's not too big and not too scary.
It's definitely for the people that want to specialise. You have to be able to know that you want to do IT or health or sports science. If you really, really want to get into that career, then it's a good choice to come here because they do focus on that.
So what I'd say to someone applying to the UTC to do sport is 100% go for it. I think it's opened up my eyes to so many different career choices within sport, and it's just been such a great experience.
I think if you want to go into any of the things that are related to the specialisms here, it's really just something that will help you so much to get there quicker.
This school's just so different because of the community that's built. Applying here was the best thing I ever did.
What I want to say is that we have the three specialisms that underpin us at OLP. So obviously we've got the health sciences and social care, we've got the sports science, and we've got the computer science. But there are also some really, really exciting career opportunities that sit between those, between tech and health, between sport and computing, between sport and health and proactive care. And certainly coming in to the UTC with an interest in health doesn't mean that you can't have an overlap in those areas. And certainly when I talk to my employer partners, when I talk to and we look at the opportunities that are out there, there are far more opportunities in a diversity of fields than we know. In fact, part of the uniqueness of the UTCs is about the exposure to the diversity of careers and opportunities that are out there. One of the other things I wanted to talk to you about was about the success of our destinations. UTCs are set up so that young people can come in and then can go out and be successful and get careers that not only are available and out there and make sure they can secure employment, but also that they're passionate about, that they understand, and that they fulfill a market gap. What you can see, the data on the slide in front of you here is information from UTCs nationwide. And as you can see, the turquoisey one on the end shows our comparative achievements compared to national data. And I want to say that at OLP, we are at least the level nationally, if not stronger in some areas, particularly around the number of our students who go on to higher education. And the reason for that really is our specialisms, because lots of fields within health require you to go onto a degree in order to get those health fields. Not all of them, and there are certainly more and more kind of apprenticeship programs out there and lots of things around healthcare that don't require that step into higher education. And the other thing that we're getting more and more of is kind of degree apprenticeships, and that's something we're really keen to explore further as a as an institution. We work closely with our our employer partners are one of our key people who feed into the curriculum, and they really feed into the projects that we do. But alongside that, we do work closely with our two university partners, which are the University of Sheffield and Sheffield Hallam, and they really feed into our curriculum. They sit on my governing body, and they really help ensure the success of our students onto the next stage, because there are two elements to that success really. Not only is it about getting the right qualifications and getting the right experience through the projects and through the extra stuff outside the curriculum that we offer, but there's also about making sure that students are matched onto the right course for them. And we have a comprehensive careers programme that really works with students to make sure that the path they're set on and where you want to go, both the academic achievement, both the courses, the course content, and the information you have really sets students up on the right path so that they are successful in future. And I know the best part of my job is when I hear from students who have left, who've gone on to success. And I say to my students regularly, and I truly believe it, that UTC OLP students will change the world. They are based in a really exciting place. The Olympic Legacy Park has the Advanced Wellbeing Research Centre on here. We've got other bits of key research buildings that are developing. We've got elite sport all based on here, and we are really in a hub for development for Sheffield and South Yorkshire. But you'll be interested to know what our curriculum is, and I'm going to hand over to my Vice Principal, Kieran Loftus now, who will talk you through the specifics of what our post-16 curriculum is.
Right, good evening everyone. UTC students who join us in post-16 have got a really unique opportunity where they can combine technical learning with A-level qualifications, which isn't possible in lots of institutions in Sheffield and around South Yorkshire and North East Derbyshire. I'm just going to talk you through our technical offer. So if I could have the next slide, please, Liz. So most students who join us will actually study in total the equivalent size qualifications of 3 to 4 A-levels. The technical qualifications that we offer, there are 4 possible routes. There's actually 3 on display now because our applied science offer is actually within our A-level technical block, our A-level block, which I'll talk about shortly. But depending on the size of the qualification that students opt to choose, if they choose the extended certificate, for example, most students will combine that with 2 to 3 A-levels. The diploma is 2 A-level equivalent in size. So again, most students will combine it with 1 to 2 extra A-levels. And students who do the extended diploma, which is actually the equivalent of 3 A-levels, generally will only combine it with 1 A-level, or they'll do the extended diploma on its own. We offer 3 major routes, which are the Cambridge Technical in Sport and Physical Activity, the Cambridge Technical in Health and Social Care, and the Cambridge Technical in IT. If you want any further information on the actual technical offers, that can be found within our prospectus, which is on the OLP website. So as I've said, depending on which technical specialism students choose, they can then combine that, if they wish, with our A-level options. So on the next set of slides, please, you've got our A-level blocks. Now, again, our A-levels are very complementary to our technical options and our STEM subjects. And within Block A, we have biology, physics, and the Cambridge Technical and Applied Science. Now, the reason why the applied science is within the actual A-level blocks is so that students can actually choose either one of our health, sport, or IT technical qualifications, and then also do the applied science qualification, because that will open lots of doors, lots of routes for students, you know, for university and apprenticeships, for example. In Block B, we have maths, English literature, and PE. You can also opt to do chemistry, which is at our city centre site. And then Block C is computer science, psychology, level 3 core maths, and then again there is also further maths and physics at our city centre sites. A-levels are generally delivered in the morning and the afternoon slots. So students who do opt to do an A-level, that is actually at OLP and one at city centre, we allow travel time if it's on the same day between period 4, which is actually an hour and a half of lunchtime from 12 till 1:30. So there's lots of travel links between the two sites. So I wouldn't worry if you do want to pick chemistry or physics, because the travel between the two sites is really, really simple. Most students will look to complement their technical specialism with an appropriate A-level. So for example, a student might do health and social care with psychology, but our qualifications do overlap. You are able to combine them. And again, if you do that, it opens so many doors as far as universities, apprenticeship and employment opportunities. If you do have any further questions, then like Mr. Stevenson said in the beginning, please email admin@OLP, or further information can be found on our prospectus, which is, if you look in the chat facility, Mr. Moore, our post-16 learning manager, has put the links to our prospectus from our website. But again, the key thing from the A-level blocks is to select one A-level from each block where appropriate. You can't pick 2 A-levels from one of the blocks, and you must obviously pick one of the technical specialisms. Entry requirements for both, we're looking at a grade 4 at least for in a level 2 equivalent for the technical offers, and then for your A-levels we're looking at a grade 5+ in a level 2 equivalent subject. But when you get your results within the summer, that can be a discussion that can be had if you haven't quite met the entry requirements. So if that is the case, then please make sure you give us a call on the day and we can discuss that with you. That's no problem. I think the best thing to do now is to pass over to some of our current Year 12 students and Year 13 students, and they're going to explain what it's like to come to OLP. All right, thank you.
I think mostly just the flexibility and the relationships you can build between different year groups and teachers, and the different units you find during health.
I chose to come to the UTC because of the sports facilities and the level of teaching. It stood out to me because I've always played sport and I've always been into sport.
The opportunities available for the computer science and for extracurricular activities like robotics, and they really interest me. So I thought I'd sign up and try and get involved in those, which I have done over the past few years. And they're just really great opportunities to kind of get involved with that other schools don't typically have.
Being able to talk to a range of different people, with being exposed to so many different things, like different employers and teachers and different people from around Sheffield and South Yorkshire.
Loads of little things, like we went on a school trip last year doing rock climbing as part of the GCSE PE course. We've been to the university a couple of times to have a look around. So it's just things like that just you didn't realise you could get these opportunities at a school. There's always been a football team, so that's always helped because I've always played football. So there's always been extra training, so that's always helped. I enjoy the teaching because it's always at a high standard, and you're always going to have help if you need it. There's great support as well if you need it, and I enjoy the subjects that I'm currently studying because the teachers are great and the subjects are really interesting.
I think the key thing is for me is that it's more like a college than it ever has been a school, in that you get a lot more freedom, and as long as you kind of put the work in, you'll get a lot more freedom and flexibility with your teachers to kind of just explore what you actually want to do and what you want to achieve with the UTC. Obviously you have to do GCSEs and get those grades, but beyond that you can basically do whatever you want, and you will get support from the teachers that are there sort of in whatever you actually want to do.
At the minute, probably anatomy and physiology, just because you learn all about the body and how it works.
think just because of the range of units we see and use, you find out different parts about health and social care that you didn't know were there before. So Unit 1, we look at building positive relationships and different things we can do to be able to build a positive relationship with the service user, whether that being making reasonable adjustments so that we can have effective communication, to just being able to talk to a patient. Great course because you find out different parts about health and social care that you didn't know before, and it covers that many units. You can find the part in health and social care that you love and want to study further.
I enjoy all the coursework in Spanish because it's quite interesting. Like, you learn about in sport, we've just done sports coaching, so we did a few practical sessions where we led coaching sessions and went to plan it. For me, that was planning football sessions, so I ran a football session with our class in year 12. The thing I enjoy most about my specialism is that it's not all exam based. Like, it's a mix of coursework and exams. So with other subjects, there's a lot of pressure on one exam at the end of the year. Whereas with sport, you've got coursework and then you've got a couple of exam units in there as well. But it's a nice mix, and it gives you a bit of control over what you're going to get at the end of year 13.
I think I mostly enjoy sort of developing different programs, and we have worked with employees in the past to sort of develop different things to send off and work with employees to get feedback and kind of build things for people. For example, we did do some website development in the past for Sheffield City Council, I believe it was. And then in computer science at A-level, you do developing a program over, I think it's the course of a year, for a specific client that you choose yourself, and you have to develop what you want to choose by yourself. And that was a really good opportunity. I think that kind of really gets you ready for developing stuff for a proper sort of company later on in life.
I want to go into radiology and oncology at university, so working with cancer patients and being able to have a relationship with a service user.
When I'm finished in year 13, I want to go to university to study sports journalism and hopefully go into a career within sports journalism. The dream would to be reporting on Sheffield Wednesday games for someone like the Star or the club themselves, but just any sort of football journalism is what I want to do.
So I think a degree apprenticeship is probably the most suitable avenue for me to go down. I think having a job while getting my degree and earning a bit of money and sort of getting my independence while being treated like a professional is kind of what I'd like to get into at that point.
Definitely has prepared me for my future career, just because it will enable me to be able to have a relationship with the service user and get to know them and make sure they understand everything, that sort of thing. Well, I mean, at the minute, there's a work experience opportunity with Sheffield Hallam, where you can get specific NHS work experience, which I think will be really cool to be able to know for definite that that's the sort of thing you want to go into.
It supports my next steps because I need sport at level 3 to be able to go to the university course I want to do. So yeah, I really need it to be able to go to university.
The unit, I think it's 8 and 9 in IT. They are the software development units where you develop software for a client. And obviously I want to go into software development later on in life. That's kind of my future. And I think that kind of really got me ready for sort of, you know that you have to develop a piece of software, but you don't know what actually surrounds that to prepare that from being actually developed. It's kind of, it's a lot more in depth than you first imagine. But to have that knowledge there before you go into like a workplace, I think is really ideal. So you sort of understand where you're going to end up and what extra work you have to put in to get to that point.
Wonderful. So I'm going to move swiftly on to talk to Mark Holmshaw, one of our employer partners and governors, and Liz is going to talk directly to him. So I'm going to disappear for a minute.
Great, thank you, Jess, and hi, Mark. Firstly, let me just introduce myself. So I'm Liz Wallace. I'm Managing Director of a company in the digital sector in Sheffield, and we've worked with both of Sheffield UTCs for many years now, and that's because we are we think that the UTC approach with that combination of academic and technical education is fantastic, and exactly what the economy needs in terms of preparing young people for the world of work. And it's great as well for young people who want that kind of relevance in their learning. And I know, Mark, that you are Global Executive Advisor of Canon Medical Services, and that you're becoming a governor at the UTC. So it's great to have you on board, so to speak, and welcome. So Mark, we're primarily here to talk about your engagement with the UTC. Can I ask you to start with, please, just to describe your organisations? What does Canon Medical Services do?
Thank you, Liz. To be very honest, having listened through the whole gambit of what the students and the principal has to say, we actually probably cover all three of those specialities, if I'm very honest, and probably some of the other specialities that other UTCs develop as well. So we are primarily involved in the area of digital imaging, which is CT scanners, MR scanners, that type of device. But when you listen to what the students are saying, actually all three of those specialities that the OLP UTC deals with are relevant to diagnostic imaging. You know, when I listen to Grace speaking about going into radiology and oncology, obviously the primary diagnosis that the machines make, it's directly relevant. But I also set up a sports medicine program within our company, and we actually work with the three biggest clubs on the planet, Manchester United, FC Barcelona and Real Madrid. And we work with the medical staff there to do research programs around elite athletes. But we also then work on the computing side, whereby we have our global artificial intelligence center actually in Edinburgh. The company itself is Japanese and Japan-based, but our global research center for AI, artificial intelligence, is in Edinburgh. So if you look at the three technical capacities of the OLP UTC, actually what we do breaches all three of those particular elements.
Brilliant. So I know you've been president of Canon Medical Services, and that you now advise the president of Canon Medical Services, but that you're still working internationally. You're advising colleagues and helping Canon to pursue business opportunities around the world. So, so can I ask you kind of a quite a blunt question here, Mark, which is, with that kind of experience and background, why do you want to invest your time in the UTC?
Very, very simple answer to that one from my side. First and foremost, I'm a Sheffield lad born and bred. So to give something back to the local community is you know, something that I've wanted to do for a long time. But the reality of the situation is that I followed almost exactly the same route as many of these students are going through. I mean, I suppose when you're looking at the students, I'm probably a bit of a dinosaur. But what is now Sheffield Hallam University used to be Sheffield City Polytechnic. So I actually started work in the NHS when I was in my late teens, and the NHS allowed me the opportunity. I was in biomedical engineering, so the NHS gave me the opportunity to go and study at Sheffield City Polytechnic for 1 day and 3 nights per week at that time. We didn't have the luxury of being in full-time education and having the opportunity for employment. You were actually in employment, but given the opportunity to have some education on top of that. And in addition to that, after I'd finished my studies and received my qualifications, I actually moved out to the Middle East. And following my return to the UK from the Middle East, I did an open university course, which again was combining that education with the world of work. So for me, this type of an establishment are going to produce the next generation of CEOs, because you cannot beat that practical experience. And of course, employers are always looking for people who already have that technical acumen in addition to the educational content that they can gain from what they do here at the OLP.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. So what kind of opportunities are you hoping to bring to the UTC? I know you're starting as a governor soon. So what sort of employer links, what sort of opportunities for the students? We had a little chat about that recently.
We did. I mean, for me, one of the things, obviously, what I do mainly is really quite global, to be very honest. So it's very difficult to do student placements into sort of the Middle East or Japan or things like that, although it's not out of the question, of course. That being said, what I would like to help the UTC do is get some better employer links and really convince the employers that I think placement opportunities for students, maybe through the summer breaks or some of the more extended breaks that they get these days, where you can actually go into somewhere and have a look at what is being done, I think really gives you an insight as a person yourself. It's very difficult when you're 15, 16, 17, and you're trying to make decisions about what you want the rest of your career to be. So it could be that you have a thought in your mind and you get the opportunity to have a placement somewhere, and you see it and you say, actually, that's not for me, but I've seen something else that may be more of interest. And again, I think it's almost priceless in today's society that we have an opportunity to experience the world of work before we commit to a specific career. And as I say, from personal experience, I deal with the guys at Man United a lot, and what they actually do goes across all three of the paradigms that the UTC work on. There's the sports science, but there's we have an MR scanner at Man United, so the radiology services are there. We also need to write the software for the guys. We've done something on something called muscle talent scanning, which needs an artificial intelligence algorithm to read certain chemical contents of muscles based on the diagnostic images that are received. So all three of those UTC-led specialities are relevant specifically to one part of what I do. And, the range is pretty endless, to be honest.
Absolutely. And so I can see already that your contact book is going to be invaluable in terms of opportunities for the UTC, for the students, and I suspect the staff will be pretty happy to make some of those acquaintances as well. So I suppose just to finish up, Mark, the fundamental question, I think, is why do we need UTCs? Obviously, there's schools aplenty out there. We've got colleges, etc. Why do we need UTCs?
I'll try and keep it brief because I think I could probably talk about this all night if I'm very honest. But you find that within the university system, what is the sort of conventional university system, if you like, which, please don't misunderstand me, we still need. But that is the area that turns out mainly our academics, the research professionals, and for sure we need those people. But to prepare you for the world of work, and having been around the UTC a couple of times myself, we also work directly with the AWRC next door, and I see some of the exciting things, and I'm a mentor on their small business program. So I see some of the people who move from this type of vocational education, and some of them start up their own businesses at 18, 19. But what they need then is a little bit more guidance and a little bit more support, but they are ready for the world of work. And I think that is the key thing for me for UTC versus university type education, or vocational training, should I say, versus university or this type of an A-level course where you're getting practical experience on top of academia, I think is absolutely priceless. And as I said, it's the route I followed. And, for me, I became CEO and president of a multinational corporation looking after 52 countries. So, it's there. And what I'd love to do and want to help Jess and the team do down there is to inspire the next generation. But as you say, also try and work my contact book a little bit to get the best for these guys, because they all deserve it.
That's brilliant. Thank you. I couldn't agree more, Mark. It's been lovely to speak to you. I know we're on a short time frame here, so I think Mrs. Stevenson probably wants to get back on, but thank you so much for your inputs there. And I'll hand back over to Mrs. Stevenson now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you both. It is really exciting, actually, the employer partnerships and the opportunities that they give students that are so complementary to what my teachers can and are so above and beyond what we would get in any other kind of school. Also for my teachers' learning, for my learning, I certainly know more in the last year about the diversity of opportunity that's available within the fields than I learn, and I intend to continue learning that. I expect all the times that I'm, for as long as I'm principal here, and as it's a changing and diverse workforce. But part of what we touched on there is around the destination. So if we move to the next slide, our students go on to lots and lots of different things. So while you might feel that we have quite a narrow curriculum in terms of these specialist areas, I hope you've picked up from the presentation so far that actually there is a wealth of diversity available. As you can see here, we've got Holly, Grace and Jordan, each from the different specialist area who's gone into very different things. And on the next slide, which hopefully we'll go to, you can see that there are actually a huge range of possibilities in terms of destinations that have happened from students who have left. So this slide is just a small example of that. Everything from professional sports, and certainly we've got a very complementary program to support professional athletes to ensure that there's flexibility around their training programs. From midwifery, I nearly couldn't say that then, everything to pure maths, going to study at Oxford, and we've got very strong STEM and maths department. So we are absolutely for young people who want to come and really learn about those fields and learn about those specialisms, but we are about exposing you to a wealth of different opportunities and a different expertise that may change or may solidify through your experience where it is you want to go, or it may be about narrowing it down to the specifics of a course. Now, what I would, the next part is we're going to move on to the Q&A, and I would like to the next part, I've skipped ahead one too many, is to hear from people who have already qualified and gone out into the world from us, and to hear about that next stage. So it's another video to show. So I'm going to let that play.
Originally decided to start UTC because I knew that it was going to send me down a path where it get me to somewhere where I could look at uni degrees and get not just like qualifications that I needed, but also other skills that would help me along the way through like the employer interactions you get throughout the time you're there.
Like the employer engagement opportunities that were there, the staff, and just the facilities as well. It was, as soon as I walked in, I just knew it was my top choice.
The first one that I worked on was with in partnership with Razor, and we essentially built a web app that was capable of storing it was like a product backlog for them. So if they went out and researched a new technology, be it a new programming framework or a new web browser or literally anything, it was our job to kind of format that, allow them to search it, user profiles. It's quite a standard project, but it was really nice working with actual employers who then, we went into the offices, we looked around, we worked with them, do kind of requirements meetings and stuff like that. So the second project that I worked on was in partnership with the Children's Hospital and Olympic Legacy Park, which is where UTC is set. And it was all focused around this charity thing that the Children's Hospital were running, which is a golden hour kind of campaign. And the idea is that they wanted to build a new helipad on top of the Children's Hospital. And it relates to the golden hour because if you can't get a child to a hospital within an hour, they've got a serious condition, the chances of survival start to drop. So they really wanted to build awareness of this 1 hour thing. So we worked in partnership with AMRC for the actual technical build, and we animated, we got animations of Theo the Bear, which was just a mascot. And along with augmented reality, it was basically this app where you walked around Olympic Legacy Park and in various locations. So it was triggered by GPS. Your phone would buzz, you'd point your camera up, and Theo the Bear would appear doing star jumps or squats or something like that. And it was just a chance for you to do it with your family, your kids to get in, do the exercises with them. And basically, if you manage to get to all of these points within the golden hour, you get to see an augmented reality Theo flying off in a helicopter, and it just pop up with do you want to feel like you want to support this golden hour campaign to get the helipad built. That was a really fun one, really out there, and that did actually get launched to a beta stage, and people have tried it out.
We used to have employer mentors. So my employer mentor was a radiotherapist, and I'm still keeping contact with him now. So that professional level where you're talking to a professional, they're telling you this is what you need as well. It's quite reassuring that these people are saying that I need this, and it sort of gives you that boost. I'm on the right path. I know where I'm going.
We went on a few visits to the Royal Hallamshire Hospital, which was very beneficial to me because I wanted to do adult nursing, so it was very beneficial for me to go there and have a look around the hospital. And we also had an employer engagement event with the Director of Public Health for Sheffield, and public health is something that fascinates me. I love public health. It just interests me so much. So from that session actually stemmed my work experience placement, because I decided after attending that event, I wanted to do my Year 12 work experience shadowing the Public Health Director for Sheffield.
Since I've left the UTC, I've gone to study a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science at the University of Sheffield with a year in industry, which has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it so far. And also alongside my studies, sort of when I was taking my A-levels, I started my own business called Hexos, which was inspired off the back of things that I've been doing at UTC. And the job of what the business offers is, it's a public transport and driving data visualization tool. So you can submit kind of locations, and it will build heat maps to represent those journey times. That's done well, it's still going. Off the back of running that business, I presented at the Sheffield Digital Showcase in September 2019, and I was actually headhunted by a new Sheffield startup, Elements Technology. And I actually worked there part-time, a day a week, alongside my studies, building apps and all lots of fun stuff that they do there. So it's really fun running my own business, getting actual industry experience, and then having my actual degree there. It really is what UTC want people to go into. It's not just about the plain education for UTC. They want you to get a grasp of everything that's going on.
I'm doing radiotherapy and oncology at Sheffield Hallam, and it's cancer treatment, so I'm really enjoying it at the minute. I've always wanted to do it. I actually decided I wanted to do it at a open evening at UTC, and then I went to college the next day and said, right, what do I need to do? What qualifications do I need to get? What path do I need to be set on so that I can get there? And they helped a lot. The UTC is definitely good at knowing what support that you need to get to the right places.
Yeah, for sure. Just looking, it helps you, well, with my sport anyway. It just gives you better knowledge on what muscle groups you need to train, and especially nutrition as well, what you need to put in your body to help you perform at the best.
Oh yeah, definitely. It introduced me to the realities of working in the healthcare sector. So I would say there has been a lot of crossover between my UTC work and my degree work. So like this morning, for example, in my tutorial, we were talking about medicines management and how we would deal with someone who doesn't have the capacity to give informed consent for that medication of what we do. And through things I learned at the UTC, such as the Mental Capacity Act and advocacy and things like that, I was able to make an informed contribution to the tutorial thanks to the knowledge I gained.
If I've gone anywhere else, I wouldn't be where I am. I think it would be possible to be where I am, but I think I would have had to have put a lot more hard work in. And I really must say, I've put a lot of hard work in so far to get to where I am. But the UTC are just, they're not spoon feeding you, but they're creating a catalyst for you to really improve your professional self at such an early age. And because of how the industry's coming, especially in the tech one, they're wanting people to have these skills younger and younger. If you go to the UTC, your CV will be built up in such a way that you've got this experience ready. I've had employers look at my CV, including my current ones, and they've gone, wow, how have you got this experience at this age? And it really is all thanks to UTC and the fantastic teachers and staff that they've got there.
It really makes me pleased I do my job when I get to hear the fantastic projects that students do and where they move on to and where they go to. I'm going to call now for our Q&A session. So I'm going to be joined by Mark again and by Lee Moore, who's my learning manager for post 16, and as well as by two of our students, by Ben and by Grace, who you saw earlier on. And Kieran Loftus is going to ask some questions as they've come in, and he's going to put them to us. So if you can turn your videos on, please, Lee, and Grace and Ben, that would be great. Wonderful.
First question is actually for you, Ms. Stevenson. How do students apply and when is the deadline?
Okay, so students can apply two different routes. The first application can be through Sheffield Progress if you're Sheffield based. And certainly your current school should be supporting that route. If you're not Sheffield based or you'll want to apply directly, you can apply directly via our website. There's an apply online section there. The deadline for Sheffield Progress is the end of January. Our deadline for applications is actually later than that, and we go through into later into the summer term in terms of applications, and we accept them then. But my advice is to get your applications in early through Sheffield Progress and your applications in early to us, so we can start talking about transition programs. And as soon as I can get students into the building to come and have a look round, and certainly start planning. It has an impact on us starting to plan our curriculum going forward, so we can make sure that we run all of the courses that we need to run for the people who want to apply. So my advice is, if you're in, obviously you've got the 31st deadline for Sheffield schools anyway through Sheffield Progress, but externally to get those applications in as soon as we can.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Moore, next question for you. Can students increase the size of the technical that they start at in September, or likewise, could they potentially drop an A level and increase that size? Is there flexibility within the qualifications?
Yeah, the courses are designed with flexibility in mind. We do often find that some students come and they are full of intentions, and we pick levels, some technical to be a big step up in the amount of work, and perhaps it's not the combinations they want, or maybe the course is a particular job, but actually as they find out more, as a number of our students mentioned tonight, as they find out more, they find out actually they're perhaps not on the course they need to, and so we can sort of increase the size of the technical as we go through, so that flexibility is built in from the beginning.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Mr. Moore. There was a little bit of an issue with your sound, so if if people didn't quite pick up on Mr. Moore's answer, yes, by all means, we are flexible. With the qualifications that students originally select, they can either increase or decrease the size of the technical. And if, you know, A-levels, if student wants to drop an A-level, let's say in year 12, and increase the size of the technical, then we're more than flexible and happy for students to do that. Mark, a question for you. How do you envisage students working with you and your contacts, either through Canon or the contacts that you've got?
I think, to be very honest, the possibilities are pretty endless, really. You know, it's as I said in the interview, we cover so many specialities that depending on what students are really interested in, I think there are opportunities to sort of place them in an environment that they feel they want to explore more of. You know, as I say, we go from our artificial intelligence global research centre through to some of the big sports clubs. I mean, we also work with Sheffield Sharks and Tessa Sanderson Foundation. So we already deal with many, many organisations. And, you know, one of the things I hope to do in the future is secure some more links with more Sheffield-based industries as well, and see how and if we can get students placed, because I think that opportunity to engage with an employer for a slightly extended period of time, maybe through the summer months during, you know, the holiday period, I think not only does it stop the guys from becoming bored, which certainly during lockdown, I think it's nice to get out here and there, but certainly from an employer perspective, it's also nice to sort of see how the young people adapt to the working environment. And you never know, you know, when some of these guys are placed in these environments, it can also lead to something longer term. So for me, it's getting kids into those employer-led situations that give them experience that is not normally available. You know, I know they do a week of placement during their younger years and they may get summer jobs, etc. But actually working in an environment that you want to work in, you know, it's not like working at Topshop if you're in an artificial intelligence global research center, or you're in, you know, you're working with one of our engineering teams on CT scanners for diagnostics in oncology, or, you know, you maybe the opportunities to work with a major sports club and see what they do behind the scenes. So I think that's what really sort of I think they can get from this.
That's great. Thank you, Mark. Grace, a question for you. What does your typical timetable look like? What are your, you know, what are the start and finish times for your individual timetable?
Well, for a full day, so we have technical days. So on a health day, I start at 8:30 in the morning and I'll finish at 3:30. But with my other subjects, it's a bit more lenient. There's free periods. I have, like on a Friday, I have English in the morning, and then I have some time and I have psychology in the afternoon.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Ben, a question for you. What are the transport links like to OLP? Tram, buses?
Well, the tram stop's just down the road. That's pretty easy to get to. It's not far walk. And then also there's the bus stop across the road as well. And then there's lots of parking area if you're getting a lift off your parents as well. So it's quite easy to get to, quite accessible.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you. Mr. Moore, hopefully your sound is working. Just another question for you. It is, just let me get it up. Can a student get into university with the extended diploma, so the equivalent to 3 A-levels? What sort of pass merit or distinction for the 3 A-level equivalent are they looking at to get into university?
Yeah, hopefully my sound is better this time. I do apologise. I'm having my phone as my webcam, as my webcam broke. There are hundreds of degrees that are kept open to you on the extended diploma. Particularly, I'll use Hallam as an example, as a lot of our students do go to Hallam. For example, nursing at Hallam, if you do the extended diploma, in previous years you've needed 112 UTCs points to get on that course, which equate to DMM, Distinction Merit. This year, it'll be, I think, the short is slightly lower, but actually we've had students, Ben, who you saw advertising went on to nursing at the University of Leeds, law school at University, got in with the extended diploma at triple distinction. No, I think he got slightly higher than that. So the extended diploma keeps the lots of courses open to you.
Okay, that's brilliant. Final question. How many additional A-levels can you do when combined with sport and physical activity? And do all the A-levels need to be from the same block? You can either answer that, Mrs. Stevenson, or I'm happy to answer if you wish.
I think you can answer that, sir. Sorry, I've had muting issues then.
No, that's fine. So students who generally do sport and physical activity, they'll do it at the extended diploma size, which is the equivalent of 3 A-levels. So students who do sport will generally either just do the extended diploma plus 1 A-level, and you would pick a different A-level from a different block. So you couldn't pick 2 A-levels from block A or block B or block C, for example. It would have to be 1 from each block maximum. Most students who do the IT, they do it at the diploma size, so that's 2 A-level equivalent, and they combine that with 1 or 2 additional A-levels. And then students who do health will either do, most will do it at the extended diploma, which is the equivalent of 3 A-levels, and then combine it with 1 or 2 additional A-levels. The applied science is extended certificate in size only, which is the equivalent of 1 A-level. And then students who do applied science can then pick up to 3 A-levels if they wish, and that could be 1 from block A, 1 from block B, or 1 from block C. And then that would take them up to 4 A-levels equivalents in size. So yeah, all depending on the size of the technical, depends on how many A-levels that you actually combine with it. But if you need any further guidance on that, then please either email in, please give us a call, and then we'll be happy to answer your questions and give you some advice on what the best possible combinations are. There aren't any further questions that have been posted.
To add a point to yours actually before we move on, I think the key is we try and be as responsive to the individual students' kind of careers and aspirations and needs in terms of the size of the diploma, but also the complementary A-levels that work alongside that. So if you're watching this now and you think, actually, I know the kind of career I want to go into, but I'm not quite sure what qualification suite will best meet that, please give us a ring, and Mr. Loftus or Mr. Moore or myself will be able to help look at that. And actually, as we kind of talked about before, there is some flexibility when you start. If there's a change in focus on what you do, some students actually come and they do a much shorter, they might just do the extended certificate, and then they spend their year 13 focusing on a more A-level route if they wanted to go into being a doctor, or for some, if they want to go and study, certainly students who want to go on and study maths look at that shorter route, whereas for other students actually it's about that larger, more vocational route. But what we really do look to do is to tailor to the individual. I think Mr. Loftus.
Yes, could I just add one thing, because purely from a personal perspective rather than from an employer perspective, I just want to say my grandson transitioned from a comprehensive school into a UTC at year 9 or 10. I'm not sure which one it was you take them from. You know, he suffered a little bit from pure academic comprehensive education, and he's moved to a UTC, not yours, but one not too far away. And he's really blossomed. So from a personal perspective, I actually understand the value of this type of vocational education. I just wanted to make that point.
And I think we are really, well, we're really privileged by being small actually as well, because it does mean that we can know our students much better than you would do in a large college. Certainly students can risk kind of getting a bit lost in that college, and we can be much more responsive to students' needs and to, you know, that style of learning. But certainly, you know, the diplomas are set out there to kind of make sure that you have that you know, that vocational base and that bits that are there. But I want to say thank you to all of you who've been on the panel. Thank you to everybody who's joined us this evening. And to reiterate, really, if you've got any questions, please contact us via our website or via our email, or please follow us on social media. There'll be updates that are there. If you don't know which route will be best, or you're interested in applying for us, or you know that this is a career that's there, give us a ring. That's what we're here for. We're here to advise. Thank you to my students for coming. I really appreciate your time. Thank you, Mark. That's a good evening from me.